Got your language. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I hope everybody has been having a good day. So let's get started with writing. So remember, this week in writing, we're going to focus on identifying if a sentence is declarative or interrogative. So you'll have sentences, you'll have to read them. You'll have to capitalize what needs to be capitalized, put the right punctuation, question mark or period at the end, and also put if it's D or I, because those are the only two types of sentences we've learned so far. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at number one up here. It says Gail gave Henry $5. Again, Gail gave Henry $5. So go ahead and write the sentence correct and put D or I. If it's a declarative, put a D. If it's an I, if it's interrogative, put an I. Okay, no, I was on the first one. Okay, next, the rat ate a what? Hat. The rat ate a hat.
I thought he rolled it, and it's a D. I didn't move it.
You have some colored pencils and crayons. Put that in your pocket this week.
The one isn't for me.
Right in front of your chair.
Miss Prudence, you froze a little bit.
Yeah, the screen is on the board.
Miss Prudence, you froze a little bit.
Can everybody see me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Is it frozen?
No.
No? Okay, it might be her computer. And that crayon, Evan. And the crayon.
I think that's not. I don't have it. Look how small. Alright. It looks nice. Yeah, because she sharpened it.
All right, let's go over this one. Number one, Gail gave Henry $5. Go ahead, Harlem.
Capitalize the G.
Okay, I capitalized my first letter G.
And capitalize the H.
H in Henry. Okay.
Finish with a period.
Good. And is that a D or I?
D.
Good. Declarative. Awesome. Number two, are you coming to Walmart? Number two, are you coming to Walmart? Go ahead and write this one correctly. Pay attention to your proper nouns. Stop. Put your mask on. Okay. The cat is in Pat's what? Lab. That's not even right. I don't know what I told you to stop working ahead of me. I'll tell you that when you really find it.
I spelled cat.
That's not what you put though. It's lab. At.
I'm still working on it.
Okay, now these people still writing.
One thing to got. Yes.
we're done. Not yet. Okay, I still see writing. Just make sure that you're staying on number 2, guys.
Can I do it? I did all of it. You have to put one. I think I can see better, but I'll tell you when it goes again. Yes, so just are we going to do our own sentence? Yeah, Can I have my glasses?
They're on my desk. All right, let's go ahead and go over number 2. Are you coming to Walmart? Carly?
Capitalize the A.
Capitalize A, first letter.
And capitalize Walmart.
The W in Walmart. How do I finish it?
Question mark.
Question mark. I hope everybody put a question mark. This was a question sentence, interrogative. So what do I put? I. Did everyone do that? Identify that this is an I.
Yes.
Okay, let's look at number 3. Is Olivia playing soccer? Is Olivia playing soccer? Okay, next sentence, what does it say? Nap. Okay. Okay, is Olivia playing soccer? Anybody would like to do this one? Okay, Solomon.
Capitalize the O.
Okay, before that,
Capitalize the I.
first letter I, and then we capitalize the O in Olivia's name. How do I finish this?
A question.
Question sentence. So what do I put
And
here?
I.
I, interrogative. Good. Last one. Justin cleaned his room on Friday.
Miss Fujian, when is
Justin,
that today?
huh?
When is the Thursday? Because it's getting a little bit confusing.
I can't really hear you clearly. It's like breaking up a lot.
Okay, I'll go to my Nana.
Okay. I don't know, so I can hear it. Okay, so again, Justin cleaned his room on Friday. Okay, what's the next one? Okay, write that. Hen. 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 Hello.
Hello.
Can she hear you now?
Can you hear me now?
Can.
Okay. Okay. Now, go ahead and do your work.
Okay, so last one says Justin cleaned his room on Friday. Go ahead. Evan,
Capitalize the J
capitalize first letter J
and the F on Friday.
and the F on Friday, day of the week for pronoun. How do I finish it? Period. And a declarative. Who did all four of them right? No mistakes.
Oh yeah. No.
I did it.
Good. All right, put that away. Get out your
I never did a mistake.
letter.
But I did.
Doing letter N today.
I need to skip another line.
Okay, are you ready for 5? Okay, could you create your own sentence? Could you create an declarative sentence?
Yay.
Create a declarative sentence on your own. Declarative sentence. We're It might be on the back of B. Check your folder. Remember yesterday you did letter B?
I have nothing on the side. It is on the I have everything on this side, everything on this side.
Yes, is it on the back of B?
Yes, I put a D right there.
You can, but that's the only kind it can be. Okay, about another 20 seconds, then we'll share.
This one's long. This one's very simple.
All right. Okay, let's look up here on the board. I can go through N. Okay, let's go ahead and share. Okay, go ahead.
I have ice cream.
I have ice cream. Okay, Camille.
We are going to the store.
We are going to the store. Good. Amina.
Michael and I played hockey.
Michael and I played what?
Hockey.
Michael and I played hockey. Good. Solomon.
Went out to eat on Friday.
We are going out to eat on Friday. Good. Carly.
Me and my mom and dad went to baseball.
Me and my family went to baseball. Good. Okay. Anybody else? Harlem.
I am going to the park on Sunday.
I am going to the park on Sunday. Good. You have yours?
Kinley went to the store on Sunday.
Kinley went to the store on Sunday. Good. Okay, Hannah.
I went to Nana's on Sunday.
I what?
I went to Nana's on Sunday.
Okay, good. Okay, anybody else is ready online? Who has theirs? No? Okay, good. Good job. So this is how the test will be on Thursday. You'll have to write your own, of course, but you'll have to identify some. So good. Very good. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to phonics.
We don't have a phonics book.
Yes, we do. All right, let's see. All right, let's start with chart 7. I'll put it on the screen. Okay.
Miss Lucas, can I hold it?
Yes. Go ahead.
Can I hold the other one?
All right. Come on, Carly. Okay, let's go ahead and get started on chart 7 on 3. 1, 2, 3. BR says
And Brian.
PR says jur, and drum. PR says per. R says SM says smoke. SC says and scat. SK says and skate.
SB says spade.
CR says per, and crab.
TW says
Squawk. SCL says spool, and splash. SCR says skirt. Are you guys saying the chart? I don't really hear anybody. Squawk. Okay. All right, let's do chart 8. Yes. 1 second. So you'll say it after me. I think that works better for us when you say it after me. So I can make sure that everyone is saying the chart. Okay, THR says third, and 3.
THR says and 3.
AR says R, and stars.
AR says and stars.
CH says in church.
CH says in church.
OR says or in morning.
OR says or in morning.
OU says ow, and out.
OU says ow.
OW says ow, and owl.
OW says owl.
ER says in verse.
ER says in verse.
Oh, sorry, I skipped OW. I skipped the other OW. OW says O, and bold.
OW says oh.
Now I'll go to ER. ER says in verse. UR says in nurse. Good. IR says in bird. OI says oi in coin. OY says oi in boy.
Oi and boy.
OO says in book.
says book.
OO says ooh in tooth.
Says ooh and two.
WOR says were in worms. Good. IGH says I in night. ALL says all in ball.
ALL says all.
ALK says uck in walk.
LK says walk.
Awesome. All right. Well, okay, let's go ahead and run through these words here so we can get some sound. Got a little glare in it. I'm trying to get the glare out. Okay, that's better. All right, let's look at the first word here. Would anybody like to tell me my sounds and vowels? Okay, Harlem, go ahead.
O
This one here.
CK
CK and
FL.
good. And we put a smiley face on the I. What's the word?
Flick.
Flick. Good. Next one, Josiah.
CL.
CL. How do I mark the vowels?
It says cross out the E and smiley face. A line.
Line over O. What's the word?
Close.
Close. Good. Next one.
Circle SH.
Good. How do I mark the vowel?
A smiley face.
U. What's the word?
Rush.
Good. Next one.
Circle the.
In the right bathroom.
Circle the ST.
ST.
And circle the TR.
TR. How do I mark the U?
With a smiley face.
Good. What's the word?
Trust.
Trust. Good. Okay. Next one. Hannah.
Circle BL
BL.
and put a smiley face over A.
Good. What's the word?
Bland.
Bland. Okay. Next one. Cabell, go ahead.
Circle CK
CK
and put a smiley face over the E.
and SP. What's the word?
Spec.
Spec. Okay. Next one. SL, Mina. What's the word? Good. And last one, Evan. ST. STR. Cross out E. Good. What's the word? Strive. Okay. So today's focus special sounds are O that says ooh and O that says Okay. So I have O. What's the word? Tell me. You can just read it out loud. Yeah, these are easy. Next one we have ST and O. Ooh. What's the word?
Do.
Good. O. Ooh. SH and O. Good. Now we have also WOR. Sorry, WOR. So WOR were. Good. I'm trying to take that glare out so you can see it good.
I can see it.
You can see it. It looks like it has glare. Okay, and then WOR were. Awesome. All right, so remember we learned how to identify the two parts of a sentence. We have two parts. We have the who and the what happened. So we learned how to divide between the who and what happened. The who is who or what the sentence is about. And the what happened is what they are doing inside of the sentence. So today we're going to learn what that part of the sentence is called whenever there's a who. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this one here. It says, James made the goal. Okay, so where would I divide? Let's identify that first. Where would I divide this sentence? James made the goal. Mariah?
Put a line between James.
And made. Right? Because James is the who, made the goal is the what. So instead of calling it who, we are going to call it something else. We will start to call it the subject. It still means the who, but instead of just being the who, we call it the subject. So anytime in your book it asks you to identify the subject, they're telling you the who. Who is the sentence about? Which would be James in this sentence. So the who is no longer called the who. We will call it the subject. Okay? Subject. Did anybody do their page today? Because you probably saw that already on your page. Or not yet? Not yet? Okay. So James is the subject. So anytime we ask for the who, it's called the subject of the sentence. And then made the goal is what happened. And that's also called something else, but we'll get to that a little later. But right now we want to focus on what's called the subject. Faith Bathroom. The subject. The subject is the who the sentence is about. The subject. So dad and mom went to the store. Where would I divide? That's the first thing to identify. Dad and mom went to the store. Where do I divide?
Divide dad and
Mm-mm.
and mom.
Okay, anybody knows where I would divide this sentence here? Solomon?
Dad.
Okay, not by dad, guys. Look at it closely. Dad and mom went to the store. Look at this one closely. Where would I divide? Harlem?
Went.
Between what two words? Where would I put my line to split the who and the what happened? Okay, would anyone like to try? Dad and mom went to the store. Camille, where would I divide?
After mom.
Between mom and went. Okay, so be careful because some of you were saying dad in class. Some of them were saying dad as well, but no, because it's dad and mom, both of them together. So it's not just dad, but it's dad and mom. So that's not my who, but what is it called? Subject. The subject is who the sentence is about. And what did mom and dad do? Went to the store. So when we split a sentence and we divide the two parts, the who part is called the subject, okay? The subject. So let me go ahead and put one here. In my bathroom. Okay, let's look at this sentence here. Spelling. The frog jumped up. The frog jumped up. Where am I dividing? Between frog and jumped. So frog is my what? The frog is my
Subject.
subject. Frog is subject. Okay, we no longer say who, but we say the subject. And jumped up is what happened. Okay, let me do one more. Okay, Shelly wore a blue shirt. Where would I divide this one? Shelly wore a blue shirt. Josiah.
War.
Between what two words?
War.
War is just one word. What's the other word?
Shelly.
Yes, between Shelly and war. So Shelly is our what?
Subject.
Subject. And wore a blue shirt is the what happened.
What?
Good.
What happened?
Good. Awesome. Okay. So that is how you figure out the subject. The subject is the who. We already knew how to do that, except now it's a new word. In your book, you will not see who anymore. It will ask you for subject. But the subject still means the who. It's just a different word for it. Okay? Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, good. All right, so this is our phonics lesson for today. Okay, so we've done phonics, writing. Let's go ahead and go to reading.
Yeah. Here's my reading book.
Huh?
I don't know.
Let's food this.
I'm sorry, yes, Harlem.
Are we on 90?
94. We're reading about Adam and Eve.
Can I read? We're not on that page. We're on the hand page. Oh, Aaron. Here's the spelling book. No, we're in school.
Okay, so Evan read 94. We didn't know we were on mute, but he read the whole page. But yeah, so this is, did everybody read 94 while we were waiting? Yeah? No? No? Okay, well, go ahead. Read it again. All right, he's gonna read it again.
But one day Eve was by the one tree that God had said may not use for food. Adam was not there, just then a snake or serpent came and spoke to Eve. Did God say not to eat from all the trees in the garden? Said the serpent. We may eat the fruit of all the trees in the garden, but one, said Eve, the fruit of this one tree we may not eat. God said, do not eat from it, for in the day that you do, you shall die. That's not true, said the serpent. If you eat from it, you shall not die. God knows that if you eat it, you shall be wise like God. Eat it. This was not the truth, but Eve took the fruit and ate it. This was a sin. Sin is when we do what God tells us not to do. It is when we do not do what God tells us to do.
Okay, good. So now we get into the part of the story where God commanded them not to eat from the tree, but then they run into the serpent, and the serpent basically convinces Eve to eat from the tree. Okay, let's read 95. Anybody would like to read 95? Okay. Go ahead. Let's see, Harlem, go ahead.
Sin is when we do not obey God. It keeps us from beginning right with God. Adam came in and Eve gave him some of the fruit. Adam ate the fruit too. Then Adam and Eve tried to hide, but we cannot hide from God. He always sees us. God came to them in the cool of the day. You must leave the garden, God said, and one day you shall die. God killed animals and made Adam and Eve coats with their skin. The animals died because of Adam and Eve's sin. God lets Adam and Eve know that he still loved them. He said that someday he would send someone to die for their sin. After Adam and Eve left the garden, first baby was born. He was a baby boy, and Eve named him Cain. Then a baby boy named Abel was born, and then other boys and girls.
Okay, good. So next, Adam and Eve, they sin against the Lord. And of course, we know that they had to deal with their punishment for sinning against the Lord. They tried to hide as well. Okay, so then we talk about their sons. Remember Cain and Abel. So let's talk about that on 96. Okay. Carla's gonna do it. I'll kind of go between. So if somebody online reads, then I'll let someone in person read. So just keep that in mind. Okay, go ahead.
From Adam and Eve and their children came all the people who live in our world, and like Adam and Eve, all of us have sinned. Sin keeps us from having fellowship with God. Years and years went by. Then
One day, God sent his son to earth. His name was Jesus. Jesus is God, and he died for the sins of all the people in the world. Jesus shed his blood on the cross for us. If we trust Jesus and ask him to take away our sin, he will make us clean and pure.
Good. And that is exactly it. The Lord, thank God for forgiveness, because although Adam and Eve sinned and although we sin, we still have forgiveness through Jesus. Okay, good. Let's read 97. Go ahead, Solomon, 97.
God gives me the light to do what is right, and that light is in the Bible. If I ask him each day, he will help me obey the light that is in the Bible.
Okay, good. And that's just a little poem about God's light. All right, awesome. You can put that away. Let's go ahead and get out our science.
I think I know which page.
You said science. You said science.
Science on page 20, I believe. Yeah.
I think I remember we had to do 20 to 22.
Mm-hmm.
It is. And on filter settings, 37 to 24. Well, you got your social studies on. I fell out. Holy burn. Page 22. Okay. That is you. Yes, you did. Miss Legends, our heart is not like a regular heart, like this. Like a shaped heart. Miss Legends.
All right, let's go to 20. So this week we are learning about bones and muscles. Okay. All right, let's get started with the bones. All right, your bones. Your bones are the framework of your body. So everything has to have like a solid foundation, a solid part to hold it up. Like if you think about a house, we usually just see like the inside of the house, the floors, the walls and everything. But all homes start with framework, which is all the wood that's built first. The concrete is poured first, then they build the wood on that. And that's what holds the house together. That's what's holding it up. So that's the same thing for our bodies. Our bones are the framework of our bodies. Our bones are what holds us together. Okay, that's why we can stand up straight. We can raise our arms. Everything isn't just flopping everywhere, but everything is straight and formed because of our bones, the framework of our body. Your bones hold up your whole body and protect what's inside of it. We call this framework our skeleton, and I'm sure you've all heard of the skeleton before, right? That's all your bones. So if you took away like all your skin, all your muscle, everything, you would have what's called bone. And so the bone is the framework of our body, okay? That's our skeleton. So if you look at the picture of, the little kid, that's their skeleton. All right. There are 206 bones in your entire body. We have 206 bones in our body. That's a lot of bones. A lot of the bones that we have are in our feet and our hands. They have a lot of different little bones in those parts of our body. So of course we know we have bones in our arms and our legs, in our chest, we have our rib cage, the collarbone, backbone, shoulder, all of that in our chest up here, upper body. We have our skull, which protects like the eyes. Our brain is inside our skull, right? So there are 206 bones in our entire body. Your skull is very strong. And why do you think God designed it? Of course, to keep your eyes and everything in there. Okay. So let's look at the diagram. So on the test on Friday, you'll have to identify the bones. So just keep that in mind. You'll have to know the different parts of the bones. Okay, so study that. Okay. So of course we have the skull up here, our skull. Okay, everybody has one?
Yes.
I'm just making sure. So next we have the collarbone, which is like right here. Your shoulder is like right here. If you feel it, you can touch it. It feels like one little line of a bone. It's right here, your collarbone. Next, we have the shoulder blade. You feel it better back here. Shoulder blade. Okay. After the shoulder blade, we have the upper arm bone. Now it's you can feel it if you squeeze your arm, but it's kind of secure in there under your muscles and stuff. So this is your upper arm bone. It actually has the name, but we'll just call it upper arm bone. Next, we have the finger bones. You have bones in all of your fingers. I'm sure you can feel those. Okay, we have the breastbone, which is right here. It's in the center of your chest, your upper chest here. That's your heart's behind all of this.
What is a rib?
I'm getting to that. Okay, that's your breastbone. And then we have what's called the ribs. Everybody knows the rib cage, right? All your chest here, your ribs.
Your thing is on butt.
Okay. Next we have the backbone. That's your spine. You can touch that back here. Backbone. Yeah. Then we have the hip bone. That's your hips right here. Hip bone. Okay, you feel that right there, your hip bone. Okay, you have your thigh bone, the bone inside the thigh. Like I said, those are kind of in there, so those might be hard to feel, but it's in there. Your thigh bone. Then you have your kneecap. Everybody knows their kneecap. Then we have our bones in our toes, all the bones that are all over in our toes, okay? So those are the bones, and so on the test, I'll have a blank one like this that you'll have to identify each bone, okay? So the test will be a little different in science this week. It won't be the norm test we usually take, okay? So that's your bone. The bones are the framework of your body. The bones are called the skeleton, okay? That's what keeps you together. All right, let's go ahead to 21. Now let's talk about our muscles, because our muscle is what covers the bone, right? Not our skin, but our muscle. That's why if you ever cut yourself really bad, you'll see like the meat, the pink, or sometimes that's the muscle. Like, yeah, we have deep muscles and we have some that are, kind of right there. All right, let's talk about the muscles. God gave you muscles to help your body move. Each time a muscle moves, your body moves. So whenever you do this with your wrists, those muscles are turning around. That's what's moving your wrist around. Your muscles work with your brain. The muscles in your body come in all shapes and sizes. They each have different jobs to do. Some muscles move when you want them to. Raise your hand. Your brain told your muscles to do that. Some muscles move on their own. Now, the muscles that move on their own are called the organs, okay? Those are inside your body, helping your body keep you alive. For example, the heart is a muscle. Now, are we telling our heart to beat?
No.
We're not. The heart is beating on its own. That's a muscle that moves on its own, and that's because of the Lord. He made our hearts to beat. Our brain, you know how it functions and how it moves. That's nothing that we have to think about. That is working on its own. So the muscles that move on their own are called the organs. So you have like a liver, you have a kidney, your stomach, all of those things, your intestines, all of those things are working on their own. It's nothing that we have to do. We don't have to say, okay, heart, beat right now. We don't have to say that, right? It beats on its own. And that's the same thing with all the other organs. A lot of them work on their own. But the muscles, like in our arms, our hands, our legs, and our feet, those we have to move, right? And our brain tells us to move them. All right, let's turn to 22. Let's talk about how the muscles work with bones. All right, God designed your muscles to work with your bones. The muscles that are attached to your skeleton are called the skeletal muscles. So some of our muscles are attached to our bones, our skeleton. They are called the skeletal muscles because those muscles are connected to the bones. You have over 600 skeletal muscles. That's a lot. Over 600 of them. They are attached to your bones with tendons. So the muscles that are attached to the bones are attached by what's called a tendon, okay? A tendon. A tendon works with your muscles and bones to help you move. Maybe your legs have felt tired after running. Skeletal muscles needs rest after they work. So the diagram kind of shows us how it works. So you have a muscle that's attached to the bone. You see that arm bone right there? That tendon is what connects the two. And then the bone. So skeletal muscles are muscles that are connected to the bone. When the muscle is connected to the bone, it's called a skeletal muscle. You have over 600 of them. And tendons are what connects them. Okay? How does that sound? Good?
Good.
All right, good. So that's our science lesson this week on the bones and muscles because those two things are kind of connected to one another, okay? So just make sure to go over your pages, study those bones because that is what your test will be on Friday, okay? All right, let's go to our social studies and let's continue to talk about the Pilgrims and how it was when they all have already arrived, but how everything is once they get here.
Miss Fulgence?
Yes?
When everybody talk, it mess up.
What? Say that again?
When everybody talks, it mess up.
Oh, like the sound?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's messing
I'm
up.
trying to watch it to make sure. All right, 37. Go ahead.
Me?
Yes.
Do you remember the Pilgrim?
No. Go to the bathroom. That's what you asked me to do. All right, a lasting friendship on 37. So we know that the Pilgrims have arrived here in America in November of 1620. So life was not easy when they got here. So let's talk about how it was a little bit of trouble, but God sent them some help. So do you remember the Pilgrims' first winter in America? So when they arrived here in America in November, that was the winter time. And where they arrived, there's a lot of snow and it gets really cold. So there was nothing growing at that time. So not only that, but when they also arrived here, there were different diseases that were in America. And so a lot of them, they either, starved or they fell sick and they ended up dying. So some of the Pilgrims, when they got here, some of them died because of not having food and because of the cold and the disease. So it was pretty tough. Not only was the journey hard to get here, but also when they got here, it was a little rough because it was wintertime, and that was probably not a good time for them to get here. Okay. But they ended up meeting the Native Americans who helped them out. So they got here in the winter, and the next spring in 1621, they met the Pilgrims. The Pilgrims were really helpful to them because the Pilgrims really helped them to survive. Because the Pilgrims were like, yeah, it feels good right now, but winter will come again. We need to figure out what to do when winter comes again. And so that's why they ended up meeting the Native Americans. Okay. So they met one Native American in particular, and his name was Squanto, and he really helped them a lot. Okay. So the first spring, the Pilgrims made a lasting friendship with Squanto, and they were surprised to find that he spoke English. But Squanto actually had been kidnapped by an English sea captain, and he had just made his way back to America. And so he met the Pilgrims and decided to live with them, and he really helped them out a lot. Okay, so let's go to 38. And let's talk about what he helped them to do. Yeah, but that's not like that. It's another Mina. So the Pilgrims had never seen corn before. Now, who likes corn? Does anyone like corn on the cob or just corn, buttered corn, right? We have a dish out here.
Corn on the cob.
Yes, we have something out here in Louisiana. We call it corn machu. It's a little recipe that we make with corn. Yes. So it's pretty good. So I like corn too. So the Pilgrims, though, they had never seen corn before until they got to America. That's when they finally learned about corn. So they didn't know how to plant it, and they did not know how to eat it. Now, the Native Americans, they knew about corn, and they actually used it a lot. They did not call it corn. They called it maize, and some people still call corn maize to this day. So if you ever hear the word maize, M-A-I-Z-E, that's corn. That's another word for corn. So Squanto told the Pilgrims that when the oak tree leaves were big as a mouse's ear, it was time to plant corn. What season do you think that could be? When the leaves are as big, so that means the leaves are grown.
Spring.
Spring, yes, spring. Yes, the leaves are big. That means they yeah. So Squanto and his Indian friends were good farmers. So Squanto was a great farmer. So of course he showed the Native Americans, he gave them some tips on how to plant. So he taught the Pilgrims how to dig a small hole in the ground. That's where they would plant. And not just that, but then he taught them how to fertilize the ground, right? Which adds nutrients to the soil. And so he took a dead fish and he put it in the ground with the seed, because as the fish starts to decompose and to decay as it dies and everything, it adds nutrients, which are good things, to the soil, and those nutrients help the plants to grow. Now you can buy fertilizer in the store today, but you could also do natural methods like he did as well. But that's how they fertilize the soil. Whenever, excuse me, he would put the dead fish in the soil, and that would help it to grow, the corn to grow. So he taught them how to plant corn. And now you might say corn, yes, but you can make a lot of things from corn, a whole bunch of things from corn. So not only did he teach them corn, but he also taught them how to plant pumpkin and squash. Now, these are common fall crops, meaning like right now. Like, have you gone to the grocery store recently and you saw pumpkins?
Yes.
That's because they're growing now. This is their season. So that's why you see a lot of pumpkins out right now, because it's their season. This is the time where they grow, where they're here. We're going into fall.
Yay.
End of summer, fall. So the that's why you start to see them a lot. That's why for like Thanksgiving and Christmas, you'll hear a lot of pumpkin and a lot of sweet potato. You'll hear a lot of those things, but this is their season. And squash as well. So he taught them not only to plant corn, but to plant pumpkin and squash. He also taught them how to fertilize the ground how to fertilize the ground using the dead fish, okay? And so they had to plant in the spring though, in order to have it for the fall. Now, what season comes right after fall?
Spring.
Summer.
Winter.
Winter comes right. So that means they had food for the fall. So would they be okay this winter?
Yeah.
They would be a lot better. Now they know how to plant crops. Let's look at 39. So let's talk about some of the crops that they grow. So of course, from the corn, we can make cornbread. Does anybody eat cornbread?
Me.
Yes.
Yes, cornbread is really good. Especially like with red beans or chili, you can have cornbread. Next, they have roasting ears, which is just corn on the cob, pretty much. Hominy is a different type of corn. It's made by balling the hull of the dried kernel, and you can buy it at the store. I don't know, on the canned good aisle, you can find hominy. Next, we have cornmeal. You can make different things with cornmeal. There's a dish out here. I'm not sure if y'all eat that, but we call it kush kush here. But it's like hot. You put the cornmeal in a pot with milk and you cook it and it gets really hot. Has anybody eaten that before? No. But yes, it's a popular dish here in Louisiana. A lot of people eat that. Well, in our part of Louisiana, it's something that people eat. So you can eat it with milk. It's hot, it's warm. Some people eat it.
It's hot. It's warm.
So there are different ways you can eat corn. Of course, we know we can eat corn off the cob or you can just cook it. So that's a lot of uses for corn, and pumpkin has a lot of uses as well. But that is why he taught them how to plant the corn. Okay, so let's go to page 40.
I'm on page 40.
Okay, so let's also talk about they taught them other things that they helped them to do. So there were plenty of fish in the streams. But the Pilgrims, they didn't even know how to catch the fish. They had no hooks, nothing. So the Native American Squanto taught them how to weave nets, how to make nets that they could throw in the water to catch fish. There also were deer in the forest. They didn't know how to hunt though. What? Okay, sorry. So yes, they also taught them how to hunt for deer. So has anyone had deer meat before?
No.
No? It's good. It's super good. Y'all are gonna have to take a trip here. And Miss Lucia is gonna show you some good food. Okay? So they also would hunt the deer as well. And they would cook the deer meat. The deer always ran away, but the Native Americans showed them how to hunt, because when you hunt for deer, you have to really be super quiet so that you can catch the deer. Has anyone's parents gone hunting before?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, so not only did they teach them how to catch fish, but they taught them also how to hunt for deer. Okay, let's look at 41. The Pilgrims had to pay for the trip across the Atlantic aboard the Mayflower. They sent many animals. So this is cool. So whenever the Native Americans showed the Pilgrims how to do all of this, the Pilgrims decided that they would kind of start to like send some of the food back to England, because some of that stuff they didn't have in England at all. And so they were like, we should send some of these things back to England and make some money, right? Or trade. They decided to trade as well, which was kind of like a form of money, like, but they traded instead. So they would send animal skins and furs back to England, and the Indians traded the furs for knives and beads. So they did a trade. The Indians traded for something and they traded for a different thing. Okay? So the Native Americans really helped the Pilgrims out a lot. They helped them get food and to be safe, all of that. They taught them about the land, and they also taught them about trading so that they could have things so that they could survive as well. So the Pilgrims were thankful to God, and so they decided to set aside a day where they could give God thanks for all that he done and how he kept them. So they decided to save that corn, that squash, and that pumpkin. They stored it away for the next winter, and they also knew how to go and hunt as well, so that they would have been prepared. So they set aside a day to give thanks to God because they now had food now, and they would have had food whenever the winter time came this time. So 42, let's go to 42. Let's talk about that day they set aside. So we have holidays in America. We know that a holiday is a special day where you set aside to celebrate something. And so Thanksgiving Day is one of those days. So when the Pilgrims decided to set that aside a day to thank God, they called it Thanksgiving Day. They celebrated it in 1621. That was the very first Thanksgiving in 1621. And it was a day to give God thanks because how he had kept them. They celebrated for 3 days. Now, we only celebrate Thanksgiving for one day for those who do, but they celebrated for 3 days. They celebrated Thanksgiving for 3 days. So they had a lot of food. They had deer and turkey and fish. The Pilgrim women's probably cooked some things with the pumpkin. They probably made pie. The children collected nuts and berries. So they celebrated and they gave thanks to God for keeping them safe. So that's why for Thanksgiving, you hear a lot of like pumpkin pie. Also turkey. Turkey is the big dish that people eat for Thanksgiving, right? Do y'all eat turkey for Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
That's right. That's why. So on page 43. So did you know? So America did not always celebrate Thanksgiving. After 1621, there were different ways they would celebrate. But in 1698, Maryland had a day of Thanksgiving because a terrible sickness had came upon their state and a lot of the people died. So in 1789, President George Washington, he declared that Thanksgiving would be a day that they would celebrate in 1789. But then Abraham Lincoln is the one who actually set when Thanksgiving would be. Thanksgiving is always on the fourth Thursday in November. Every single year, Thanksgiving is always on the fourth Thursday. Okay, so if you look at a calendar, the fourth Thursday of this year is November 25th. That's when Thanksgiving falls this year, November 25th. So the fourth Thursday of every November is when we have Thanksgiving, and Abraham Lincoln was the one who established that. Okay. Okay, good. So that is it on the Pilgrims and all the things that Squanto and the Native Americans taught them and how they survived and how Thanksgiving came about, the holiday Thanksgiving. And this is how, because of all of this and them setting the day aside. Okay. All right. That's it for social studies. We'll do math. Not today.
Are we almost done in this? Are we almost done? How much more stuff?
Do we need a book?
Yes, you will need your math book today.
You gotta raise your hand.
Okay. We're not gonna use it. I'm gonna just do it on the board. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna just do it on the board. Sorry. Okay, so remember yesterday I told you whenever we have our number sentences now, we have to write it a little different. We don't just write the numbers anymore, but we have to put the item that we are, the thing, I'm gonna say thing, the thing that we are adding or subtracting, okay? So look at my story problem here. We are. Okay. It says John had 6 markers. He lost 3 markers. Okay. So John had 6 markers and he lost 3 markers. Is this some more or some went away?
Some went away.
Some went away. Yes. So let's create a picture now that we know it's some went away. So how many did he start with? 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now when it says he lost, you said some went away. So how many would I get rid of?
3.
3. So I'm gonna X out 3. So now I can create my number sentence. Now this is where we have to make sure we're careful. So what are we subtracting again?
Marker.
No. Markers. So let's start with how many did he start with?
6.
So 6 markers. Plus or minus?
Minus.
Minus.
How many did he lose?
3.
6 markers minus 3 markers. Look how I'm writing markers. You have to make sure to do this now, guys. Equals how many markers does he have remaining?
3.
3 markers. Now. Yeah. Okay, so make sure, and I'm sure this is, you're like, yeah, we know Ms. Fujis, but I want you to make sure that you always put the thing that you are discussing. That has to be written in your number sentence. I will be looking for that on your test on Thursday. That's what I'm gonna be looking for. So make sure you do that. Okay, let's go over some math facts. Plus 9 in particular. Ready? I know it's gonna show the answer. I know. I just want to go over it like this, just so we can get the facts and learn them. Plus, we say the answer 3 times. So I would say 8 plus 9 equals 17, 17, 17. Okay? All right, we ready? Let's go. 2
plus 9 equals 11.
Good.
6 plus 9 equals 15. 5 plus 9 equals 14. 9 plus 9 equals 18. 8 plus 9 equals 17. 6 plus 6 equals 12. 7 plus 9 equals 16. 5 plus 5 equals 10. 8 plus 8 equals 16. 9 plus 5 equals 14. 9 plus 4 equals 13. 9 plus 3 equals 12. 9 plus 7 equals 16. 9 plus 6 equals 15. 9 plus 8 equals 17. 9 plus 2 equals 11.
Awesome. All right, good. So that's what I really wanted to go over those plus 9 facts. Okay. All right, so today we are going to learn about the device that we use to measure the temperature. So we know that some things have to be measured, and one of those things that can be determined or measured is the weather. And we use what's called a thermometer to measure the weather. Okay. So the thermometer tells us how hot, how cool, how warm, or how cold it is. That's why we use thermometers. They help us to determine what the weather feels like. If we look at the thermometer and we say it's 80 degrees, we will not wear a snow coat in 80-degree weather, right? That would not be a great idea at all. Or if it's 20 degrees and we say, I'm going to wear some slippers and some shorts, that probably would not be a good idea as well to wear that in 20-degree weather, right? So the thermometer helps us to determine the temperature, how hot, cold, cool, or warm it is outside. Inside of a thermometer, we have what's called mercury. That mercury inside of the thermometer determines the temperature. The hotter it is, the higher up the mercury goes. The colder it is, the lower the mercury goes down. So it just really depends on what type of day it is. So since we're ending summer, fall is actually about to start, I think tomorrow actually, or next week. But anyway, fall is coming. We will see the temperature kind of fluctuate a lot. It'll be cool some days. It'll still be hot. It'll be warm. Like today, it's a very hot day today here in Louisiana. But tomorrow we have a cold front coming in. So it's actually going to start to get a little cooler as the days go by. So that's how the weather will start to, go. But a thermometer helps you to determine the temperature so you know like what to wear. What should I expect the weather to feel like? Will I be able to go outside all day today? That's what the thermometer does. Okay. So again, I said there's a mercury inside of the thermometer, and this mercury helps you to determine the temperature. Now, when you measure the temperature, you measure in what's called degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, degrees Fahrenheit. So whenever you have a temperature, you would say it's 30 degrees. Okay, that's the proper term. The symbol that you use to show degrees is just a circle like that. Okay, that's how you show degrees Fahrenheit. So let's go ahead and look at my thermometer here. Okay. So again, the higher up we go, that's the hotter it's getting. The lower we go, the colder. So cold weather is usually going to be between temperatures 0, of course, 0, and we're gonna say like about 50. That's pretty cold, okay? Cold. 50 is getting cool, but we're gonna say the 50s is pretty cool. Okay, so from 0 all the way to about 49, 50, that's some cold weather. You will probably have to wear boots, a jacket, gloves, maybe mittens, and of course, the colder it gets, of course. Now, some of you are in the north, like Hannah's in the north, Serenity is up north, Harlem, and Josiah, you get snow there, right? Yeah, y'all get snow where y'all are, correct? So they get snow, so I'm sure they've seen a lot of these colder temperatures here, right? Do y'all know how cold it gets? Josiah, Hannah, Serenity, or Harlem? Like, how cold could it get? It's not at all. No, but they get like real
Sometimes it'll be 40s and 50s, but it's going to be cool.
Okay. Yeah. Hannah, how cold does it get? I wish I would be more. I don't know. Can she hear me? No. Yeah, it's right next door to us. Okay, can you hear me, Hannah? I don't know if she can hear me. I don't know. Okay, so yes, it gets very cold. Now, some of us, like here in Louisiana, it does get cold, but not that cold. And we'll get snow. Like last year or this year in February, we had a little bit of cold, and it was ice. It didn't snow. It was a lot of ice. But I know in some places you all get like the really cold ice weather. Okay. So when we get into the 60s, the 50s and 60s, we'll say is cool. Now, when we start to get in 70s, 80s, 90, and up, that's where we start to get hot. Okay, 70 will say warm, 80 will say warm, but we know that overall it's hot. Okay, so that's important to know because, like I said, you don't want them to say, oh, it's 30 degrees outside, and you go outside and you have on flip-flops. That would not be a great idea to have flip-flops in 30-degree weather, right? So, and I think the hot and the warm, Camille, is that what y'all are used to in California? Yeah, the hot and the warm. Yeah. So, okay, so let's go ahead and read some temperature. So we'll start by reading the thermometer in degrees by 10, but eventually we'll learn how to read it in degrees by 2, okay? Let's look at this. Okay, so look at this here. So what would my temperature be here?
30 degrees.
30 degrees what?
30 degrees.
Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit.
30 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, what type of day would this be?
A cold day.
A pretty cold
Cold
day. So
day.
should I wear like a short sleeve shirt?
No.
Probably not, right? I should probably have on gloves and a jacket, a coat, maybe boots, right? Okay. And a purse.
Whoa, that is cool. That is really
Okay, look at this one. What's my temperature?
80.
80 degrees Fahrenheit. So what type of day
Fahrenheit.
would this be?
Hot.
Very hot. This will be a very hot day. Yes. You'll be like, so should I wear a snow coat?
No.
Definitely not. Okay, good. So in your book, you will start to see a thermometer. And I know we already kind of know how to read the thermometer. It'll get different when we start to go in those increments of 2. But right now, all you have to pay attention to is what 10 it stops on. And that tells you the temperature and what type of day it'll be. Okay? All right. So did we do everything? Math, writing, phonics, language, spelling. No, we didn't do language. Okay, so let's go ahead and discuss language and we will be done. So what is a noun?
A noun
is
the name of a
person, place, thing, or
Yes, a noun is the name of a person, place, thing, or idea. We have 2 types of nouns. What are they?
Common and proper.
Good. So we have common and proper people, place, things. And this week we learned ideas. Ideas are something that we can't touch, we can't see, but we can feel it. So give me some examples of ideas.
joy.
What?
like when you make a new vehicle and you call that no one else made.
No, what you said. I didn't hear what you said.
I thought
What's a word for an idea?
like peace.
Peace. Okay, what else we have? Josiah?
Joy.
Joy. Good. Hannah? Unmute. That's why I think I couldn't hear you earlier. You were muted maybe.
Chaos.
Okay. Okay, yes, chaos all over the place. Brian?
Anger.
Anger.
Faith. Faith.
Okay. I don't know.
Peace.
Kamel?
Tired.
Okay, tired. Anybody else? Energy. That would be more like okay. Serenity. You said love?
I said we can feel food.
Feel what?
You can feel skin.
Well, yes, but an idea would be like an emotion that you feel. So we said anger, peace, joy, like that. Love, tired.
How
Yes.
about happy?
That's the joy, but yes, happiness, Solomon.
Hungry.
Angry, yes, and sadness. Somebody said sadness. And sadness. You can feel sad. Okay, good. So that's your test. So yesterday, that will be your test, this final test on the nouns this week. We learned pronouns yesterday. So what is a pronoun?
Pronoun is a word
that takes the place of a noun.
A pronoun is a word used in the place of a noun. Is that what y'all been practicing?
Yes.
A pronoun is a word used in the place of a noun. And we'll talk about pronouns next week. I just want you to really learn that definition. Pronouns take the place of nouns. We take the noun out to put in the pronoun. A pronoun is a word used in the place of a noun. Okay? Awesome. So go ahead and practice that definition. All you have to know is the definition of pronouns. We're not getting into it this week. We'll start our list on pronouns next week. Okay? So we did all of our lessons. We did math, phonics, writing, language, spelling, science, and social studies.
We don't need
Okay? So I hope you all have a good day. Thank you for joining us. I will see you all on tomorrow. Okay? So you have spelling to complete. All right. Bye-bye.